What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is. This is your boy, the historian, in the building. We're getting ready to go ahead and dive into what has happened. Somebody got fired on their day off. We're going to talk about it. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and hit that like and that subscribe button on your way in. We got you covered. It's the BirdCage. Let's get it.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
BirdCage. Here we go. What's going on, man? It's your boy, the historian. We in the building, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I've been sitting back talking about this all year. You don't bring in a guy that does not have experience at all. You've got to bring in somebody with not just experience, but with some common knowledge. You know what? I got the Gotham looking background. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit light because today has been a day of it's just better. It's just better. Nah, I'm gonna actually go with Bankhead Bates. Change my mind a little bit. I'm gonna go with my man Jesse. But let's talk about it. This has been a situation that has been asinine all year. You had the number one red zone defense in 2023. You can check the numbers if you want, folks. And then the other thing is you had a top 10 defense last year, even under Arthur Smith. So at this point, now that now that Jimmy Lake is gone, Raheem, you have no more scapegoats. Zach Robinson actually produced this year. He gave you chances in ball games, even though he didn't know what he was doing. He also gave you a thousand yard rusher, 1,000 yard receiver, quarterback that had over 700 and almost 1,000 yards within 3 games, 775. So when you look back at it, you took an inexperienced staff and you gave your buddy a job. And now your boy is unemployed. He got his pink slips today. And as we would say, how the hell you get fired on your day off? Well, he better go ahead and look at that paper over there. As Pop said on Friday, pick up another trade. Might as well become a dog catcher because I can tell you right now, you damn sure ain't coaching the Falcons right now. And that should have never been even an experiment that was tried this year. You had Steve Wilkes that was available. You had Flores, but you brought in your boy. Now you're getting ready to run yourself ragged and put yourself in a whole nother space. So getting fired on your day off, it's just messed up. And the sad part about it was he wasn't even smart enough to steal no boxes at the warehouse. Hey, Dub, what's good?
Now, I just wanted to check in and say what's up to everybody. Happy, like I said, we got him at the paint. I ain't gonna be on long. I'm at the gym, but I want to check in and say my little soliloquy. And like I say, I think everybody watching this show, man, they watching this show because a lot of things that we say on this show come to fruition. I want to thank all the listeners, subscribers, and the fans out there. All the things that we've been saying for weeks and weeks, they're starting to finally listen. I think that last show probably took them over the edge when we're speaking out to Terry emphatically. So they are listening. So we got to continue to keep doing what we're doing on our end as content creators and fans, and holding them accountable at all times. So other than that, I'm gonna let you keep going, historian. But I just want to check in and say my little piece while I was out and about. I don't want to hold up the show.
Hey, nah, you ain't holding up. This is the part where I'm gonna start letting some folks in. I want
All
them to
right.
talk today, man, because this is just one of
Okay.
these things that we look back at, because I said it from the beginning of the season, bro. We should have not taken a guy that was inexperienced and put him in that leadership spot. And this is my thing, if you were going to give him a job, he should have been a guy that was brought in as an assistant D coordinator, and you let Jerry Gray run it and groom this guy. If Raheem wanted to give his guy a job, you don't put that much responsibility on somebody right off the bat. That's a no-no. And Raheem should know that, because guess what? That happened to him at Tampa. He had a whole responsibility as a head coach with not that much experience in his back pocket. So
Yeah,
why
for
would you do
sure.
somebody else like that? That's just me.
Well, like I said, he was just trying to give his homeboy a job, and it backfired
He
on him.
could
You
have
better be
gave
glad.
him a job as an assistant, not as a head DC.
No, I mean that isn't not. But what I'm trying to get at is one thing that a lot of people probably didn't realize. I didn't realize until I did some more research that Jimmy Lake was
Mm-hmm.
assistant head coach out there in LA. So he's had a bigger title. I think that's a bigger title than defensive coordinator. So he was just like I said, he really give his homeboy a job, and not just any kind of job, not to really poo-poo him, and it didn't work out. So that's all I can speak for. And he's very glad that he didn't get him fired, as a head. So
But here's the thing,
moving
though.
forward,
Here's the thing. He was a DC in Washington because he stepped in 2018, 2019. But he was relieved of his duties during that time in Washington when they were horrible. And he literally
no,
didn't
I
have them playing right.
no, I know he was only
Because
at the
remember, he was
University of
up.
what?
Because remember, he was up under Ron Rivera. Because Ron Rivera gave him that title. But remember, Ron Rivera was still running that defense. He ran that defense. He didn't trust Jimmy Lake at that point, even when Lake had that title. Because if you remember when
Yeah,
Ron Rivera got fired, he said, "Hey, this was all on me. I need next time if I ever get an opportunity, I gotta trust the guys that are around me and trust that they know what they're doing." That was what he said in that press conference when he was fired. So at this point, when you look at Jimmy Lake, it's like this, man. It was an experiment that went wrong. Hopefully he gets another opportunity or whatnot elsewhere. But at this point, hey, his time with the Atlanta Falcons have passed. They have
yeah.
passed.
Well, time to move on.
But all I'm saying is at this point, we got to start looking for the new defensive coordinator at this point. And I've said this, I've been saying this for the longest. Steve Wilkes has got to be the guy. If you're not going to bring in a Steve Wilkes, bring in a Lovie Smith if he doesn't want to be a head coach. You bring in somebody with some experience to work with Jerry Gray and let those guys cook. Because I know Jerry Gray can have a secondary right. I know that. I also know he can have a defense right. But if you don't want to keep him around, it's just one of those things where you have to say, well, we just gotta run, we gotta roll with it. And
Yeah.
Jimmy Lake wasn't the only one that was fired today either. Jay Rogers was fired as well.
Hopefully we can go get Chuck Smith, man. Just throw the best offer you can at him. He still has a home and family here in the Atlanta area, and he may want to come back
Agreed.
with this new regime.
I agree. I agree with you on that. And if you look at it, you go from being a top 10, we said this, you go from being a top 10 defense, having the number 1 red zone defense in 2023 to literally falling off the map. That's really what
Yeah.
you did. You really fell off the map. And at this point, all you can do is just hope. And all you can do is just hope at this point that everybody is in in a position to where they see what the mistakes are, they correct the mistakes, and get this stuff right for this year. Because at this point, Raheem doesn't have much room for error right now. He doesn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I say, I think Steve Wilkes will do a good job as a coordinator. I'm not sold on him as a head coach, but I do like him in the coordinator position. Because when he went out to Arizona, he really didn't do much, but I believe he can turn our defense around, give him the right pieces that we do have, and he's more of a football mind, and he's been doing it a little bit longer than Jimmy Lake has. So I just pray that we continue to make the correct and proper moves for this organization to move forward in a proper way to go get wins and continue to get back to the playoffs like we've been trying to do for the last 6-7 years and moving on.
I agree. And I really believe at this point, I feel like the Falcons have to start addressing the elephants in the room. One of the elephants that are in the room, also, you got to get this offensive line right. You've got to get this offensive line right. That's got to be the next. That's got to be the next thing. Now, the question is this: Would you look for a new O-line coach, or would you actually get rid of the one that you already have?
Well, I mean, offensive line is definitely a kick in the butt. I want to go get just an old guy, older guy. I like older offensive line coaches. That's just me. I go get a guy that's in his late 40s to 50s and see if I can pull the guy in. Maybe when the guy retirement. It's used to whipping guys into shape. I'm not sure what name that is. I haven't did any deep research on names for offensive line, but I like an older guy to run my offensive line. But that's just me in particular. But we do need a resurgence on that offensive line to get those guys to block with some kind of spirit and have some kind of pizzazz to themselves, and go get some guys in the draft that to play multiple positions. When we do have guys go down to injury, they're versatile type players. They can play some tackle, some guard, they can play up and down the line. That's what kind of guys I would look for in the draft.
Well, we weren't surprised. Look who popped in, K-Dub.
Hey, look.
Just like clockwork.
It don't matter
Will,
what he is.
what's up?
He could be asleep.
What's going on?
What's up, Will?
What's up, man? What you got?
Hey man, Jimmy Lee got fired on his day off. On my day off, he got fired. That was God son. Well, yeah,
Hey, look,
for real.
soon as I got off, he got fired. I'm like, they took everybody off.
I was off the day, so he got fired off day. But seriously though, man, I think we need to get Steve Wilkes. And this draft coming up, I think our first priority, like you said, trying to trying to lean on some veterans for this offensive line. Like we need a left tackle because Jake Matthews getting up in age, and I don't think we'll sign Drew Dahmer because it depends on how much Drew Dahmer want. But if we can't get him, just get you a veteran center. And in this draft coming up, man, just trying to at least get you some edge rusher or get you a corner. You know what I'm saying? Like just get you some defensive players who will start right away and look at some HBCUs students who you know what I'm saying. We don't need to go to a big university. I think we need to go to D2 colleges. And I think the Falcons they overlook over D2 students, but I think we need to go in the draft, get your edge rusher, get your corner, and just get you some defensive players.
Well, here's the thing: you already got your replacement for Jake Matthews and Bergeron. Bergeron's just gonna kick out to that right tackle spot. I'm sorry, that left tackle spot because Bergeron plays. I'm sorry, that right tackle spot because Bergeron played that in college. He's just playing in the spot right now of that guard position because of the fact that we were down on injuries and he was thrusted into that. He played well, but he's going to be kicked out whenever Jake Matthews retires or passes up. Now, here's the other thing. Right now, we focusing on this defense right now. We ain't even talking draft. We about to talk about what's going on right now with Jimmy Lake and also the defensive line coach being fired. Red, what's up, man?
What up, fellas?
What you got?
I guess
How
I
you
can put a
feeling?
little smile on my face. You know, we still got one more firing that need to be done, but I can live with him for right now because at least we got rid of his homeboy that he bought in. Like you said, that was a bad move. Now, I like the offense where we at right now. I like the quarterback personally. If we gonna have a head coach making the mistakes that Raheem making, you might as well make Zach Robinson the head coach. But you know, that's another thing of that. But like I say, it was the right move. He should have never been hired. It should have been somebody with some experience from the get-go, like you said, Ryan. And going forward, names I can drop down are maybe Rex Ryan, Robert
I think
Saleh,
Rex is only gonna take a
and I
head coaching
guess
job. I don't
Steve
think he's
Wilson.
gonna come back as a DC. Honestly, I don't see him coming back as a DC because he even said on the Pivot podcast he wanted to be a head coach. So I don't think we're gonna get him as a DC. I think we'll probably end up getting him.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody's gonna get him as a head coach. Maybe Lovey Smith might come in because I think Lovey enjoys being in charge, but I don't know if he would take that type of step back. But if he does, I'll be fine with it.
I won't see Wilkes. Just go ahead and hire him.
Man, last time I saw Levy, like
He was
Santa
in Houston
Claus coaching up at Illinois.
No, he was in
Oh,
Houston.
He was in Houston.
He was in Houston before.
Yeah, he was the head coach. Yeah, they fired him.
They did him wrong because guess what? He purposely set them up or whatnot. He literally had their defense plan. They were coming together, even though they were bad. The team that you're seeing with D'Amico Ryans was Lovie Smith's team that he put together. Think about that, Red. You muted, Red.
I mean, he had pieces to that defense through the draft when he went and got a Will Anderson and those guys. So I mean, Lovie Smith was putting that defense together to start it out, and then D'Amico Ryans finished it off. So you are correct about that.
And so when you really look at it, my thing is this: why not bring in a guy that's already coached in the Super Bowl before, had the Chicago Bears owning that division when he was there? Think about it. He owned that division when he was there. So when you look at it, I love Steve Wilkes. That's my guy. But I'm also looking at it like this. If I can get me a coach that's got some experience there, I'm good with it. And here's the other thing. Raheem Morris was a young pup when Lovie Smith was a defensive assistant coach, linebackers coach, assistant defensive coordinator in Tampa Bay. So they have a history together. So they know each other because they were all on Tony Dungy's staff. So
now,
looking at that, say again.
Who is this you talking about?
Lovie Smith. He was on that staff.
Smith. Yeah.
Lovie and Raheem worked together. That's what a lot of people don't know. So when you look at it, it's like, okay, Raheem wanted familiarity. Guess what? You can bring in a guy that's got familiarity with you, and you pretty much learn defense under this man. Why wouldn't you trust somebody that helped you get a job?
Now, is this a name you heard? Is this a name that's being mentioned?
It's a name that's still on the market right now. We don't know if he's chilling. After he got fired by Houston, he's chilling. He's sitting at home chilling. But I would actually take him off the couch any day because he would bring instant credibility with Jerry Gray together. Our defense definitely wouldn't be a laughingstock anymore. I promise you that.
I think he would have called it.
If he took the job, I take him.
Yeah, he left Illinois. He got let go out of Illinois. That's how Brett Bielema got the job. He went back to the NFL. Yeah, he went back to the NFL.
Damn, I remember he got fired in Illinois.
I remember that. Yeah. I thought that was before the Illinois job, though.
But here's the thing. We love to have Rex Ryan here as a DC. We love to. But Rex wants to be a head coach. So now if Raheem was gone, that would be a totally different story. Then we would say, let's do it. But Rex re-interviewed with the Jets. How about this? So you looking at some of the guys that are out here right now, and as much as I hate to say it, I'm gonna give you a defensive coordinator that you can bring in here. I don't want it. I don't want him nowhere near the head coaching job, but as a DC, he's genius. That's Dennis Allen, a man that worked with Terry Fontenot before. Think about that.
Well, he wouldn't get the head coaching job regardless.
No,
So-
I'm talking about as a defensive
He-
coordinator,
he-
not as
Hey,
a
I
head
know,
coach.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Let's
He
think
gonna
about it.
get the
All
head
his
coaching
defenses
job
were
regardless.
hell when he was there.
If our next head coach gonna be an offensive guy, I promise you.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it.
You see, when you got a
Yeah.
quarterback like MPJ, you gotta have a head coach that's all about him and that side of the ball, because that's the guy right there that's gonna take us places.
But here's the thing: a guy that needs to be fired at this point is TJ Yates. A lot of people not talking about our quarterback.
Oh yeah,
coach. He gotta
I
be gone.
Yeah, he
posted
got
that
to
a few
go.
days ago.
Here's my thing, and I'm gonna let y'all cook on this. The reason I say TJ Yates has got to be gone, you see if you can get Ryan Grubb, who was working with Michael Penix Jr. at Indiana and Washington, a guy that knows this kid inside and out, and literally doesn't have to teach him much, but just really just getting this thing, getting it. He's gonna be having to get the offense down. But with Penix mechanics and things like that, man, he can bypass that and help Penix get better as a NFL quarterback throughout the game. That's just me. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think so. I think they need to grab him because Seattle had fired him. It wasn't on the offense coordinator. The Seattle Seahawks had plenty of problems on the defense side of the ball. So I don't think the Seattle Seahawks gave that offense coordinator a fair chance. Well, hey, I get the dude out of Seattle offense coordinator to come over here because he just got fired. And TJ Yates was still with the coaching staff when he had Arthur Smith, right?
Here's the
Yeah,
thing here's the thing I'm gonna give you. Go ahead, okay, Doug.
No, I'm just saying they retained TJ Yates, but I'm all for going to get Mr. Grubbs because he knows Penix very well, and it'd be just a great marriage. So I say throw the offer out there, and if you can get him here, that'll be outstanding for us moving forward, and it'll be a home run hire at the offensive coordinator position, or even an assistant to who we have up there right now, Zach Robinson. But on the defensive side, I think we need to scour and don't just, we just have our hand on one or two candidates. We need to really do our due diligence. Maybe it might take a couple of weeks before we land in DC, but get the guy that's going to be a perfect fit here in Atlanta. Not just a guy that we just throw names out there. I just want a perfect fit and not have to go back to the well again next year.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't even say it's a perfect fit, but I'm gonna give you a guy that you can bring. I'm gonna give you a guy that you could bring in when you talk about as a quarterback coach. Nobody's talking about him, and he's quietly under the table or whatnot. And he was a solid college quarterback, but he also was solid, and he was very serviceable in the NFL. Brian Greasy. You bring Brian Greasy in as a quarterback coach, and you actually have somebody to help develop this kid. Now, another guy that I would bring in as a DC is Gerard Mayo. Say what you want, he just got fired, but as a defensive coordinator, the man understands defense. And that's something that you're talking about when you look at, okay, he was groomed under Belichick, he knows defenses, and when you really see what he would be able to bring to the table, I think Gerard Mayo would be somebody that you can look at as a DC as to give the man a job or whatnot. And he can relate to a lot of the guys because guess what? He played in the NFL. He's won Super Bowls. He was a captain. He was an assistant D coordinator. And plus, we need help with our linebackers right now. And that would be the perfect person to bring in as a linebacker coach. John the Baptist, aka the Cricket Deacon. What's happening?
What's
What
up,
up, John?
What it is, what it do?
Boy. Kiddies, this is a lesson you should learn when you get into business. Number one, do your job.
Don't hire your friends or your family.
Or your family.
And if you're hired by a stranger, do your job. Number two, if it get hot, start putting in resumes, because guess what? You will be the sacrifice that will be put up on the altar to save somebody else's.
John, can I say this one time? Because I don't normally say I told you so, and it's a few people that have come through here that have messed with me, said, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know ball. I told you so that Jimmy Lake would be gone at the end of the season. I called this in the middle of the season. I said this. Now, if I tell you to start hustling, if I tell you that grass is going to turn to cheese, start hustling me some crackers. I'm telling you that now.
Because I told, now see, thing is,
and you called it at the party, John. We was at the party talking about this, me, you, and Dewey McClain. We sat back and we said, because what did Dewey say? Prevent defense gets you beat. Remember, he said that it prevents you from winning.
Prevent
we were in the
defense
back when he said that.
Yeah.
And
at the
can
end
I tell him what you said? And I'm gonna let you go. John, this is verbatim what John said. John said, if we don't get out of this stinking prevent defense, whether we win or lose, Jimmy Lake won't be here next year. And I said, you really believe that, John? John looked at me. He said, there's not enough liquor back there that I can sell you to get you drunk for me telling the truth. Have it,
because like I told you, somebody was going to have to pay. Somebody was going to have to pay for this fiasco. And I said either on my show or either on your show that you sacrifice when your seat is hot as the head coach or whatever, you're going to have to sacrifice some assistants possibly, just like Dan Quinn did before they finally got him. Okay, now who's that serving dinner?
That's K-Dub in the gym with all that feedback.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, he in the gym. Hey man, go ahead and get that 600 up. Get it up.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Get it up.
This how you know he excited. He stopped his workout just to get in here and talk trash today about this one. That's how you know it's
exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, okay. Now, if you remember the press conference, Fontenot said that evaluations were still going on. That was one thing that he said that we find out was true. That evaluation was still going on. There were some people that were thinking that everything that was done that was already done. They wouldn't have come up and said this, and they wouldn't have come up and said that if everything had been concluded. Now, we learned from that interview that your head coach and your general manager were going to be retained, but that did not guarantee that assistants are going to be retained. And I'm still asking the question, do you still keep Zach Robinson? Do you still keep the quarterback coach and his assistant? Because there were some glaring things that took place this year that makes me think that this may not be over. Because, see, number one, somebody's got to explain buying this $180 million boat anchor that you have here now. You know, you overspent on a boat anchor.
Hey John,
so
the owner signed up on it. I'm gonna put that on the owner. I think
somebody will have to be going. I think it might be probably TJ Gates. He probably would keep Zach Robinson, but I don't know. I'm not Raheem Morris, but they probably got to let go somebody. Is that him or TJ Gates got to go?
Because somebody sold him. Okay, now K-Dub, to your point. Now the owner, yes, he signed off on it after he was convinced to do it. Okay, hey, Arthur Blank don't know nothing about football. These people that he has up under him, they are supposed to be the ones. Okay, since you hired Beatles, since you hired Fontenot, since you hired Raheem Morris, these people are supposed to be guiding you and telling you, okay, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I do that, that's going to happen. I guarantee you, or I can assure you, or I can just about put my stamp on it, and I will take responsibility to an extent for it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do that and it falls flat on its face, somebody got to pay. Because see, right now you got a $180 million boat anchor that's holding up your team from spending money to do other things, because if it's not the salary, it's the cap hit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Hey, I'm just saying. Now it may not come to fruition. They may eat it. They may eat it. But I'm saying, you know, in any other organization, somebody would have to pay.
Oh, okay, I feel what you're saying, John, and you're correct on that. But what I'm thinking is, this guy was
I
so
agree with
tired of
you.
losing. He was
I
so
agree with
tired
you.
of losing
Cause
that
Raheem Morris,
he
he got at
wants
least get us to the over the hump, and he
no.
can't have no more errors or mistakes. Cause they already like Jerry Bill got fired. Who else got fired? It was like 3, 4 coaches got fired this weekend.
Yep, Gerard Mayo got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Pierce got fired.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a few guys it's a few guys that got fired
I
this
think the
year.
GM from the Vegas got fired too. He got
Yep, he
fired.
got
Oh
fired
yeah,
too.
you
The
had
Tennessee
head
GM got
coaches,
fired.
assistants,
But
Raiders,
here's the
Raiders
office
thing.
cleaned house.
personnel.
And here's the thing. Will, you was ready to fire the whole coaching staff after the first loss of the season. You be wanting everybody fired after every loss. You can't do that. At least give them to the end of the season before you give them the damn edge.
Hey, look, every loss,
Man,
fire everybody.
But
every loss. Hey man, they got to go. Hey man, Jimmy Lake, all these boys got to go. Hey, we got proof. We got video proof for this. This man
I ain't say
ran
you
shit
lying.
after every loss.
I ain't say you lying though. I'm just passionate about my
Hey, look,
team,
you
man,
messed up.
because
You messed up
we
on that
played
David
Lord
Parsons. You fired.
under our competition, and I told you, Ryan, that ever since that Dallas game, I know that Seattle game when they lost at home, they start playing inconsistent. One week they might run the ball, the second week they aerate, they trying to be pass happy, and you can't do that in the National Football League. You got to be balanced.
But to be fair, you gave these jokers all the way up until after the Philadelphia game that they won till you started calling for everybody's head.
Yeah, because they make your
I'm,
blood pressure go up high. Because
He do that.
hey,
He do that on my
can't finish
page.
games.
Call him. He said he wanted everybody gone.
hey, after look,
Yeah.
when we win a game, hey man, they hosted great game. They said, well, they lose. All of them got to go. Everybody got to go. Even
Hey,
the towel
Will.
boy got to go.
Hey, Will. See, that's why, you know what, Will? See, that's why if you had a company, they would need a board of directors. They would need a board of directors for you. Hold up, boss. We can't hold up, boss. And hey, and see, I understand the sentiment because people artificially loaded this season with a whole bunch of expectations. There were people talking about we going to the Super Bowl after, you know, a 500-yard game by Kirk Cousins. Now, you know, I had to tell people now temper your expectations. This is just the first year. And this, you know, this is the way that I always do business as far as head coaches and teams are concerned. I give them that first year, one way or another. But as I've always said, year number 2, the flying foot of fate has no eyes. I will launch this size 13 in any appropriate rear end in year 2, because now your grace period is over. And that's what I said about this one here. Your grace period is over, Raheem Morris, Terry Fontenot, Greg Beatles, Arthur Blank, everybody. Now it's time for the rubber to hit the road. You know, but you know, the very first year, you know, that 4-game losing streak, man. Ooh.
Hey, John, but see, we also GAX boy, we already called out Jay Rogers. He was one of the first guys that we said, because K Dub mentioned bringing in Chuck Smith as an assistant DC or giving him a position back home or whatnot. But I'll be honest with you, if I'm Chuck Smith, I ain't coming to Atlanta if I got what I got in Baltimore right now. I had a chance.
No.
But
Chuck Smith ain't coming back.
He might love the weather where he's from.
I won't see Wilkes though.
Man,
but Chuck Smith, begged Dan Quinn.
Atlanta to come get a job. He begged Raheem. So why would he come now? That's the thing. Why would he come now?
Dan Quinn too.
Think about it. And think about it. Their team plays the day in the playoffs. Baltimore literally is one of the best teams in the league. Maybe they don't fold in the playoffs this year. Maybe Lamar can get it together, and so can Todd Monken, because last year they had a chance to beat the Chiefs and it didn't happen. But now that they have an intelligent defensive line coach that's assisting these guys with pass rushing, helping these linebackers out with pass rushing, their defense is one of the best in the league. You can't take that away from them. And now Lamar is figuring it out. I don't have to use my legs the whole time. Everybody say I'm just an athlete. Guess what? Lamar using his arm more than anything this year. Think about that. We're seeing the matriculation of what Michael Vick should have been here in Atlanta. That's the best way to describe it. And now you got one of the best Falcon pass rushers outside of John Abraham and Claude Humphrey and Chuck Smith helping this defense.
Yeah, and something else. And K-Dub, now you right. Hey, if I was him, I would want to come back to Atlanta for the weather. But for the ring, and he's at the precipice on the first steps of getting the ring. And plus the team snubbed him. This man gave his heart and soul to this team. He was talking about Vic Beasley. I remember him being on 92.9 talking about one move Vic Beasley, that he was not going to be able to continue to try to power people, that he needed to develop some moves, and that he was volunteering to work with Vic Beasley when he was here. Vic Beasley didn't want none. All right. Then he talked with Dan Quinn about joining his staff. He said Dan Quinn shafted him. Then he talked to Raheem Morris about coming here. Now, when in order to be a main, you can't keep doggone putting yourself out there. Next thing you know, you begging. Hey, I wish that damn Chuck Smith would quit calling me. I don't want to talk to him. He ain't coming. I don't want, you know. And see now.
No, I'm just saying I wasn't informed that he talked to Raheem. I thought he talked to Dan.
Oh yeah, he talked. He talked to him. Terrence Mathis did too.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is subtract that.
I don't know. They're allergic behind Atlanta Falcons franchise players.
When he was on the radio, he used to come as a special guest of my best friend John Chuckery all the time, and you know I got a chance to meet him and talk with him and whatever. Because I caught him out here at an Academy Sporting Goods store out here in Douglasville, both of them. And, you know, I had a chance to talk with him and, you know, discuss various things. And, you know, I asked him point blank, hey, man, you ain't talked to the Falcons about coming here? Man, I don't even want to be bothered with them no more. That's basically what he said. I don't want to be bothered with them no more. And see, you know, you got to respect that because, see, you know, you can't be looked at as begging for a job when you have something to offer. And Baltimore called, hey, I'm headed up 95, baby. You don't want me here? Oh, I'm going up 95.
And remember this, John. Baltimore is a team that has always been built on defense. The Ravens have always been built on defense, and hell, you can even go back to, and John, you remember this is when you had your afro and that long stinking Lincoln back in the day when the Baltimore Colts was there before they left. They was built on defense back in the day. So that city has forever been built off of defense all the time from their championship teams. We know Johnny Unitas gets the credit and the love for that, but you got to go all the way back. Johnny Sample, Mad Dog Mike Curtis, John Dutton. Rest in peace to Eugene Big Daddy Lipscomb, one of the first 300-pound defensive tackles in the game. God rest his soul. So again, when you look at that, why not go to a city that has a history of defense and putting out some of the best defensive players of all time? And I can't forget about the late, great Gino Marchetti, who was one of the nastiest defensive ends of all time as well. So again, when you bring Chuck Smith into a city like Baltimore, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. But, I mean, natural fit.
And now here's another guy that I'm gonna mention that a lot of people gonna be in their feelings because he was a division rival. But my thing is, I remember when he was a defensive coordinator and he was one of Buddy Ryan's proteges, Ron Rivera. A lot of people don't talk about this man. Hell of a defensive coordinator, one of the best linebackers in the late 80s, early 90s for the Bears back in the day when he played. So when you look at it, there's a chance that you can talk to him because guess what? He's unemployed still. He's looking for a job. Why not bring in a guy that has coached in the Super Bowl before as well and has had top 10 defenses under his command?
Now, if he
Just
wants to,
saying.
if he wants to be a coordinator, I'm for going for these guys that were
They
head
ain't
coach.
gonna do it.
But a lot
Yeah,
of
they
times
ain't
you
gonna
don't.
do it. But yeah,
Hey,
but like you said, what you think that
Will,
we
you
need to
keep
do?
saying they ain't gonna do it, but I thought
we
they was
don't know
gonna
what
fire
nobody
Jimmy
gonna
Lake.
do.
I
We don't know
said
what
that was
nobody
gonna
gonna
happen.
do. We
and
don't know
it
what
happened.
nobody gonna do. Will
They
Yeah.
gotta
we
bring
live
somebody in at this point. They
we living
need
in
a defensive
we living
coordinator.
in tough
Well, I
times
say Steve
with
Wilkes,
high.
like you said before, they might as well hire him because he was already in process and like, hey,
Well,
I'm
we
here.
know Steve is in the building. It makes sense to hire him, but at the same time, if you don't hire him, you gotta look and bring in some folks. Hey man, I know you feeling good out here because you done came up in here and you chiefing. You know what we say about that. My man
Man,
out in the cold with the fur.
Come
man,
on,
look,
Richard. Stop
Right.
it, Richard.
How
Come
he
on now.
how he chiefing and
Nah,
I'm
he
banging
can't.
for
That's why
chief.
I'm calling it out, Red. I got you.
hey, look,
Come on, Richard.
man, when I tell you, Ryan, I done had the most fun I done had in these last day or so. I'm just not getting home, man. We were down to Piedmont Park and everything, man. Look. Then when I wake up this morning, the first thing I see is exactly what I told you. Jimmy Lake and that D-line coach. I said, boy, won't God do it? Boy, look at that. Now it just, do I trust my organization to do the right thing? That's my only issue.
Well,
Yeah,
here's the
yeah.
thing. They ain't do right by Chuck Smith, so we got to find another D-line coach at this point and a DC. We say Wilkes is going to be the guy, but if Wilkes isn't the guy, we got to put out some guys who, like we said, with some names out there. We said Ron Rivera, even though he interviewed for a
Man,
head coaching job, I take him.
I'm
I
gonna
take
be
him as a
honest.
DC.
Now Chuck
I
Smith in Baltimore.
I'm talking about at the point we at. I'll take Dennis Allen because boy, one thing Dennis Allen had with that defense, humming.
We said that earlier. That was one of the names we mentioned earlier because he got a rapport with your boy Terry.
But after looking at Robert Saleh resume, man, look, if we can get him, that'll be a blessing.
He going back to San Francisco. He ain't coming
Yeah,
in.
he on San
He going back
Francisco.
to Frisco, dog.
Yeah, you know he buddy with Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, he ain't.
But
Look, that's his boy.
I
hey,
don't know. I don't
but
know.
that's
That
a
Boy.
defense,
good
that
thing because
defense,
he
that
buddy
defense ain't
with
the
Kyle.
same
He
out
may
there.
be buddy with Raheem too. We don't know. Cause I've
That
been
defense
hearing
ain't
whispers about Jalen Ramsey coming to the Falcons.
that defense ain't the same out there in San Fran anyway.
I'm gonna tell you
I don't
this
think he's
here.
coming back out there.
If you want
So
a locker room cancer at that cornerback spot, so be it. But think about it. That's the reason Jacksonville got rid of him. That's the reason why he got traded off from Miami. I mean, from the Rams to Miami. Think about it, man. Everywhere he's gone, he's a hell of a player. But he's always been a locker room issue. Come on,
But
man.
I
We
think he
don't
only
need that.
left for Miami because Raheem left. Because he was real emotional when Raheem left.
Well, we know that part, but I'm talking about the part where it's not just Raheem. You got to think about everybody else he got to work with. It ain't just Raheem you got to work with. You got to think about everybody in that locker room. And Calais Campbell was able to keep it together because he was the elder statesman in Jacksonville back in the day when he was there. But man, that kid is a loose cannon.
But
now the
Now he's
question.
still a loose cannon.
but
Now
as
I got
far as
a
DC,
question because okay, with the personnel that we have now, we got 4 draft picks. Okay, I think we might be able to get 1 compensatory pick. Do we have 4 or 5?
Five.
five.
We need trade down, man.
Because
Okay,
remember we got that one for Taylor Heineke. That made 5.
okay,
And we possibly can still
and
get another one, John. With
yeah,
I
J.
wouldn't
that's
Terry
what I thought.
removed, we could
I wouldn't
possibly get
trade down
another
in
one
the
right
draft.
now.
But I mean, if
Okay,
you looking at it like that, I say Jeff Ulbrich, truthfully.
That's another good pick, Mr. Ulbrich. I'd take him as a DC.
Because he actually
now
played.
what kind of defense are we going to? Or
I'm gonna go back to 4-3.
what?
We'll be back at
I'm
a
just
four.
going to ask.
We'll be back
I'm
at a
just going to
4-3
ask the
defense.
panel. I'm just going to ask the panel.
With the
4-3.
I
defense we
really
got
would
now,
like to. I really would like to see 4-3
Me
myself.
too.
I'm gonna be honest. With that 4-3 cover one, we were running after the bye. I go straight back with that hybrid 4-3 with the cover one.
I'm gonna
We were
give you
killing
another one.
teams.
Hey, I'm gonna give you another defense that we could run with the personnel we got. We could literally run a 4-4 defense, man-on-man coverage, and you can also run a single safety high. And what you're doing with that 4-4, you bring that safety down in the box with your linebackers, because look, we already know DeMarco Hellams is coming back next year. We don't know what they're gonna do with Justin Simmons. I said Simmons came at pretty much right before the season started, so he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But I will say this though, if you look at Simmons, he's still a sure tackler. That's one thing he brings. But when it comes to coverage, it's questionable because he didn't know what he was doing. And my thing is that's what kind of has me looking at him like, we know you can tackle, we know you can come up and make the hits, but can you cover still? Because you were a 4-time Pro Bowler in Denver because you could cover and you were a ball hawk. We didn't see that. But do you think that's because Jimmy Lake didn't play to his strength? Or what do y'all think
Man,
it was?
Jimmy Lake
his
whole alignment was off though.
I wouldn't waste some more money on Simmons though. That's just me. This is me speaking.
No, I agree with you on that, but I'm asking y'all a question. Do you think this experiment was wasted because Jimmy Lake didn't play to his strengths? Because if you look at it, he was out of position majority of the time.
Honest, Jimmy Lake didn't play to nobody.
Jimmy Lake didn't put nobody in the position to win. So the answer
that's why,
to that,
man, think about it. Last year, Alford.
Yes.
Man, think about it. Last year, Alford was like a top player on the team. Now you gonna tell me this year he just can't do nothing? Come on, bro. That's your scheme.
Right. Nielsen put folks in position.
Will, that's one of the ones you've been trying to get rid of.
Who that?
What's up, GAT? What's up, Tex boy?
What going on, man? How everybody doing today?
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
Welcome.
I mean,
we've been waiting on you to come into the cage.
What's up?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. Where you at with all that doggone blue sky behind you, man? I'm jealous.
Arizona, man.
Woo! What's the temperature out there?
Like 65.
Man, I don't even want to talk to you no more.
John, you asked.
I don't even want to talk to him no more, man. Look at that, man. He gonna rub it in. And he gonna rub it in.
Rub it in.
And he gonna rub it in. Good grief, man.
I've been here about a year now, man. I just moved here from Texas.
Okay. Hey, man, shoot that. Man, look here. When I saw all that blue behind him, and I'm looking out my window.
Man. Man, I love it. It was like 85 on Christmas. It was crazy.
Yeah, man.
What you got, man? What's up? We go back and forth in the chat.
Hey, all the time, brother. All the time. Hey, man. As for our DC, brother, I think we got to go with an old school coach. Like, I'm going to be honest. My sleeper choice in DC is Dennis Allen.
Hey, I said the same thing.
Because we said that when we first started the show.
That's 3 people saying Dennis Allen. It must be the guy.
Because I said it first, then Rich, and now you said it. Because K-Dub said Steve Wilkes because he's in the building.
I'm looking at an old guy. I'm not looking at no new DC. I'm looking at guys who've been in the NFL at least 20 years. Old guy.
Hey, Tex, why you think we said Wilkes was the guy that we would look at? He in the building.
And
that's over 20 years. Think about it.
In the building.
Think about it. It's not a coincidence that you take over the Carolina Panthers in the middle of the season when Matt Rule got fired and they were dead in the water. And the
Arizona Cardinals.
It sucked because he inherited a bad situation out there with Arizona. It sucked. But for you to get the Carolina Panthers in one game away from the playoffs, that's the infamous the Marcus Mariota game when he was laying on the ground throwing. That was the infamous game they beat us in. And it turned everything around. But they played for him because all those Carolina Panthers were pissed when he got fired, if you remember that.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if it's just me, but this right here remind me of 2015 all over again. We got Dan Quinn. We thought we was gonna get that emphasis on defense. And the only thing that Raheem doing different that Quinn didn't do, he fired the defensive coordinator and stuff the first year. Dan Quinn didn't take over for Richard Smith until we went to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Because we were ranked 28th. We were ranked 28th all year, and then we only moved up 4 spots during the playoffs, and we finished the year.
And we went through the same thing, just like in 2015. We started out 6-2 and ended the season 8-8.
And now defensive coordinator. You guys have brought up a whole bunch of good names, whatever. But me, man, defensive line coach. I want Brian Cox back.
Well, we good with the D line coach. I'll take that all day.
Brian Cox.
No. Defensive line coach got fired too.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I said
Jay
I'll take
Rod's
that all
gone.
day, John. I'm good with Brian Cox coming
I
in.
love
I gotta have.
Brian
That's you. But yeah, I definitely want because see Brian Cox.
He gotta have a cigar too now.
Huh? Oh, yeah, doggone right.
But that ain't. But wait a minute, that ain't just the cigars. That boy from East St. Louis, so he built different. Understand that. That's that East St. If you ever been to St. Louis before and you know about East St. Louis, homeboy is on a whole nother level mentally. I just say that they bred a little different out there.
Because
you the only one that Hageman will listen to though.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Hageman was scared of him.
Yeah, he was scared of him. You know, I mean. I still go back to that Hard Knocks episode. Now Keith Armstrong, when Keith Armstrong cussed him out in that meet, cussed all of them out in that special team meeting on Hard Knocks, then Hageman got a hold of him because, excuse me, Brian Cox got a hold of Hageman because he was one of the 3 people that was dogging it out there in practice, trying not to be worked in practice. And they put them jokers to work. And see, Brian Cox was known for getting in anybody's face. They had to pull him off of Kyle Shanahan after the doggone Super Bowl on the airplane.
But remember who he played for, right? You do remember who he played for. Bill Parcells. Yep. I've been saying this for the longest. What have I said on every episode, John? I said you're fine with getting something from the Bill Parcells coaching tree. You're fine with that because you know what you're going to get. Toughness, mean attitude, and guys that's gonna play. And remember, Brian Cox is one of the only cats that we know. Before Michael Vick flipped off the home crowd, Brian Cox would flip off people on the road as a linebacker. I remember watching him with that neck pad on.
Shoot, that joker had neck pad. He had a headrest. He had a headrest.
That's what you got behind you right now, John. That's what he had.
That's the only person in the NFL to play with that. That's how I knew who he was. Dude had
but you know
he had a dog. He had one of them. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Oh no. I'm gonna let you get that one because I got a point. I know my point that I'm getting ready to bring, and y'all getting ready to smirk when I say this.
Now, and whoever it is that we bring in as defensive coordinator, please, and this is my pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be analytics governed. You got to have enough experience to be able to coach by the seat of your pants, by the feel of the game.
And that's why I say don't go get a new coach.
Right.
That's why I say do not get one of these new A's head coaches.
Hey, look,
see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm with you on that, man. I want an old guy.
Cause see what them jokers would do.
Cox with the Giants right now, John. We can't get him. He with the New York Giants, unfortunately.
Yeah, but oh man. But what these new ones? But what these new ones would do, okay, I don't mind them looking at the Surface tablet, watching the replay of the play that just took place. These jokers would go on the Surface tablet, and the Surface tablet would tell them what to call. No, I don't need you. No. You got to have enough experience to have the flow of the game in your veins, in you, to be able to make the right type of call, both offensively and defensively. But these analytics folks, man, that's going to be the death of coaching. And that's why a lot of these youngers coming up.
They want to ask Madden.
Yeah. You know.
I got a question for everybody. How y'all feel about the inside linebacker position? Because there's some good free agent inside linebackers, or do we go through the draft?
I think we go through the draft, and we grow our own at this point. And we don't really have money to go out like that right now. Because spends a lot of our money. So at this point, you gotta go through getting some young guys. If you don't draft them, we said go through the undrafted free agent ranks and go get some diamonds. I'm gonna sit here and keep saying it like I've been saying it from day one. HBCUs are the way to go if you don't have no money. It's tons of boys out there that can ball.
Okay, now look. Everybody say they want the Falcons to change and this right there, right, and go spend money. Ever since Dan Quinn been here, even through Arthur Smith, that's all we've been trying to do is go find a diamond in the rough. So now this year, you got to make the tough decisions. Is Grady coming back? Is you gonna trade Kirk Cousins? Is you gonna cut David Onyemata? We have not just went out there and say, you know what, we finna go get him. We finna go get him. We finna go get him. But for the last 8 years, we've been doing the same thing, trying to go get the diamond in the rough, or trying to get somebody who was at one position and put them at another position.
Yeah, I feel you on that, brother. I agree with you. We need to go ahead and let Greg Jarrett go. Like, hey, this is business. I understand you want to represent us, but this is a business. We need to speed up this cat space to get some diamonds in the rough. Because I want us to go young, and I think this whole defense is going to be young. From Mike Hughes, go and get your bag in free agency. D'Arford, go and get your bag in free agency. Because we ain't gonna be able to sign everybody in free agency. You got a good point.
Because, like, just think about it. It's like draft wise.
Yeah, they got to pull that
I could
band-aid off
say
on
maybe
Grady.
the first and second round, we go get somebody who him. But from the third to the seventh round, it is always a prospect, a diamond in the rough. Can they make it to be that NFL potential type player?
We don't have a
See,
five
that's where
pick.
I
I got a
raised the
guy for you.
question
Five
mark,
Y'all,
though.
pick. We can't
This
plan
Cause
out like
draft,
that,
this is
guys.
a down draft. We should not trade down. Take the pick that we get at 15. Do not trade down in this draft.
We
Terry
don't
already
have a
said he
five
trading down.
or four. How many picks we got?
We
Y'all
got
ain't never
But
5
we
got two
picks.
got
picks.
players to trade that we can get more picks. We got
Yeah.
Ain't
tradable
nobody want no
players
hey
to get
nobody
fellas,
want
picks.
to trade. Nobody want
hey
to
Now,
trade
fellas.
for
So
well,
no
here's the
first
Terry
thing.
round.
I
wasn't
got
talking
one.
What
I
about
in the
got
world
one
we
trading
for you.
talking
anybody. He
about
was
trade?
talking about trading down.
So here's one. Here's the thing. If we don't draft any linebackers, I got a guy I want y'all to look at, and I want you to look at the film on him. His name is Aaron Smith out of South Carolina State. Six
I
foot
take
two, 6'2", 230 pounds. He can play the weak side, he can play the middle, and he can also play the strong side as well. He's versatile, and he can also cover. His
South
stat
Carolina
that he
State.
had for this year, because they had a solid defense. He had 59. He had 59 total tackles this year, one forced fumble, one interception, and a half a sack. That whole linebacking core that they had at South Carolina State was nasty. People don't realize that they all three of them boys did their job, but he's one of the guys that is a polished diamond. If you look at him play, he would remind you of a little bit more of an athletic Jesse Tucker. If you actually watch him play, a little bit more athletic and a little taller. That's
I
just
mean,
pretty
because
much what you'll be getting out of him.
That
if we had some good
HBCU.
linebackers, we
Is
could
that
run that
is that HB?
4-2-5.
Is that
That's another
HBCU?
one you could run, but I would rather run that 4-3 though.
Yeah,
Honestly,
hype.
it fits what
I
we
love
do a
that
little
hype.
bit better. Because we wouldn't be giving up the middle of the field if we ran that
Mm-mm.
if we ran that 4-3. I'm sorry, that 4-3. And here's the other thing. We all talked about safety help, right?
Yeah, strong safety
Does
help.
anybody know who Kenny Gallup Jr. is?
Is he from
No.
HBCU?
Howard University.
I'll take him.
77 tackles, 7 tackles for losses, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 4 passes defended. That is your enforcer right there. And you could get him for little to nothing and let Justin Simmons walk, and you let Helms play, and you let this guy play, and you let them rotate. Those are 2 guys that you can have coming up in here. I'm looking at the fact that we're going to be limited with picks. So I'm looking at other places like the South Dakota states. I'm looking at these other schools that no one wants to talk about
So how
outside of
y'all
the
feel?
D2.
SEC.
Yep.
And defensive line, here's my thing. If we do trade back, I'm with you on that, Nathan. If we do trade back, this is what I'll say. Start looking at Utah, where Clark Phillips III came out of. Start looking at some of those defensive linemen out of Utah, because Caden Ellis's dad is the D-line coach there and has produced a ton of great defensive linemen that are in the league playing right now that are solid.
If we
That's
going to
all I'm
get a
saying.
D, if we
Look
going to
at
get a
those D
DT
linemen.
though, if we going to get a DT, I only got one request. I want my DT to weigh over 320. Period.
I'm good with that.
I don't want no lighting ass DT. Oh, excuse my language. I don't want
No,
no
you good.
lighting.
You can say that. You can say that all day.
I don't want no lighting ass DT this time, because I was looking at I'm trying to remember what team. Michigan had a DT that was like 6'6", 348 or something.
Mm.
That's what I need. I need a big ball on
That
that line
pocket.
and move like Vita Vale. Period. Yeah. What do I always tell y'all?
You want somebody with no ankles and straight legs. That's what you want.
Look, I want everybody on that defensive line. I want their name to end in a vowel. Matu and e and I want a name to end in a vowel.
And I was
300. Look,
you want somebody with the name
Nagati
or
what's his name?
Kenneth something like that.
What's that DT out of Michigan name? Kenneth what?
Don't mess his name up. Don't even mess his name up. Don't mess his name up. But see that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Now everybody else
328, 6'4", 328, something like that. I need a big boy. I need a space eater.
6'4". The Joker bring his stomach in a wheelbarrow and just drop it on the line of scrimmage. Boom.
And just stand there. All we need
just stand there. Hey, and when he come up, you just walk one direction. Just keep walking this way. That's all. That's what you need, because you will kill a center. You will kill a center and the man next to him on either side, because you're gonna have to triple team. You're gonna have to triple team.
Hey, because I will give the defensive line this credit this year. Every time I seen Grady Jarrett, this is why I'm so on Grady. Because every time I seen Grady Jarrett lined up next to Goldman, he got good production. Because, Goldman easily 320, 330. Every time they put Grady and Goldman on that line together, the offensive line couldn't do nothing with them. But they just stopped. You know how they do it. Stop doing what's working.
And K-Dub, now, you in the gym right now. And the reason I'm going to ask you this is because you in the gym right now. What weight is the hardest weight to lose? Muscle weight or fat weight?
Oh, muscle.
No, it's easy to lose. It's easy to lose muscle weight, right?
Yeah. Muscle weight.
Fat weight never goes away.
Yeah.
I remember Larry Allen one time with the Dallas Cowboys. He used to say, "Look here, now I'm 335 pounds of chitlins, fatback, and collard greens. This boy over here on my other side, he 300 some pounds of creatine powder, Joe Weider protein powder, and them doggone pills. Now at the end of the game, I'm still gonna be 335. But this joker right here, I'm gonna make him so tired he won't even be able to lift his arms up. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Look, I need tractor trailers. I need dump trucks. I don't need no F-150s or no Ram 1500s.
Hey,
I need weight.
That last Baltimore game I watched, that's what really put me in that mind state. Pierce, the one that got that interception, that I did not know he was that big. I was like, oh my
man, you see,
I was like,
hey John, I got one for you. Hey, I got a defensive tackle for everybody. Somebody got some feedback. So it's got to be Deon Walker out of Kentucky, that defensive tackle. He's 6'6", 345 pounds. That is a guy.
That's the one I was talking about. Speed. I ain't mean Michigan. That's who I was talking about.
You was talking about Deon Walker. Deon Walker out of Kentucky. That's 345 pounds, 6'6", big boy, and he can move. He can move. When you talk about it, like every game that he's played in, he's dominated. Every game, from when they played Alabama, when they played Georgia, South Carolina, anybody you put in front of him, they might have been sorry, but he was pushing biscuits off a plate. When I say he can push a biscuit off a plate, he can. Everybody else that we've seen coming through Atlanta, they haven't been able to push a biscuit off a plate with a hot fork. So again, as I said, bring me a guy that's going to eat the biscuit and go ahead and lay down on you and let my linebackers eat. That's what he does.
Because see, that's all you need. Just somebody to lay on a man for about 3 quarters, 4 quarters.
But
just lean on it.
But you know where they're going to draft at. They're going to draft out of Penn State. They're going to draft out of Clemson. They're not going to take Ole Miss. You got J.J. You got JJ. Don't make me mess up his name. Pegues, 6'2", 315. He was a guy that dominated Georgia and Alabama when they played against him. He was the guy that dominated in the bowl game. And then you got what's the kid's name that was out of Ole Miss? No, Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan is the other defensive tackle that they had that was a problem. So again, their defensive tackles in this draft are deep this year. We can't
what
screw
about
this
that
up.
one that played for
Yeah, we can.
what game that
We
was?
screw
I
it
watched
up.
North Dakota, South Dakota. Boy, it was a big boy on one of them lines. The one that had
I know who you talking about. Out of
green
North
and
Dakota.
yellow.
Yep.
Yeah.
North Dakota State.
Yeah, boy, it was a big boy on that line. Made my eyes go like this. I was like, oh my God, boy, we need him right there on the just stand on the line like John said. We don't even need you to move. Just go forward and we'll handle the rest.
Yeah, anybody get a loose?
Because I think our pass rush problem, see, what people fail to realize is not that Judon ain't good. Remember who Judon had next to him when he was up there at the Patriots. He had a big boy next to him that would crash in the middle of that line. That's why Judon don't look as good as you want him to look, because we don't got nobody crashing the inside.
Why do you think Arnold Ebiketie was looking good back when he was at Penn State? You know why? Outside of having Michael Parsons, they had a defensive tackle on that line that was eating up blocks, and it was making it easy for him. But nobody wants to ever talk about that.
But you seen that picture of Raheem at the Penn State game? Someone caught a picture of him.
As I said before, he'd rather go elsewhere instead of shopping his own backyard.
And see, that's been our problem here. I mean,
you got two edge rushers in your backyard right now with Mykel Williams and Jalen Walker. Outside of Abdul Carter, because Abdul Carter can ball. But I'm just saying, you got two guys in your backyard. But I'll be real. I don't think any of those three guys fall past 10.
Well, I'm going to be honest, though. Every mock draft I did had Jalen falling to us. Every single last one.
I hope he'll fall to us. But we know how it go.
What y'all thoughts on Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina?
I take him.
Yeah, that's another one.
I will take him. As an edge rusher and as much hell as he caused this year, I will take him. Ooh. That's why I said this is a defensive line laden draft. You got to get somebody who understands how to coach D linemen and mold young guys. And here's the other part. Braylon Trice didn't play this year. Blew his knee out.
Yeah.
So we got to see what Trice is going to look like coming back, because he might not be the same player off that knee injury. That's something we got to also gotta put into the equation.
And see, that's why I was mad about his injury, because when I went back and looked at his tape in Washington, that boy can play on it. He can play every tech on the line. Zero. He play all of them. They put him everywhere on that line in Washington, and that boy was causing havoc. Now I don't know what he's gonna do.
They was hounding until he got hurt.
No, I was saying Pierce going to Tennessee. No, dude say we getting Pierce. Nah, he going to.
Here's my question. I'll be honest with you. Pierce is gonna be a high. It's gonna be a low first round, high second round pick, depending on who needs an edge rusher. Pierce might not even make it to us. We're probably not even gonna look in that direction. But I wouldn't be mad if they did look at James Pierce out of Tennessee. That would be a good move too.
Hey, it's another one too on that Texas D line. I can't think of his name right now.
He wears 88. I know exactly who you're talking about.
That's who I want. The guy out of Texas.
Oh, yeah,
He wears 88. I know exactly who you're talking about.
And that linebacker number 33 for Texas.
Yeah. We
he can cover too.
Yeah.
Yo, I like 88. I've been telling
I
people all the time. I love 88 on that defense.
Hey, that's why I wouldn't mind Jeff Ulbrich, because he coached linebackers.
Ulbrich, because they got a connection. You know, coaching by connections. I can see Ulbrich slide in here.
Hey, Ulbrich helped had that Robert Saleh defense humming, though. He really did. He had our defense humming. They just don't want to give him his credit, but he did.
And here's my thing. When you look at defensive coordinators, there's a ton of good ones out here. The thing is, who do you bring in that's going to mold your defensive line? That's the question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I know this might sound crazy. To my Bulldog faithful, y'all going to be mad when I say this. I'm going to go ahead and go look up the road and see if I can actually pull Kirby's D-line coach from him. Just saying.
What's going
Go
Trey
throw the
Scott?
bag at Trey Scott and see. Go throw the bag at Trey Scott and see if he'll leave UGA and give him a D-line job in the NFL. Tell him, hey man, you ain't got to recruit. All you got to do is just help mold these guys here. Can you imagine if Trey Scott comes to the league? I'm just throwing that out there. Look at all the players that he done put in the league as D linemen, and look at how successful all his D linemen are so far.
Hey,
Jalen
and
I
that's
Carter,
love it,
Jordan
but
Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Trayvon Walker. I'm just saying.
hey, you know who else I was thinking about for D-line coach though? But I think it would only come if you get Ulbrich. I'll take the Jets D-line coach because he had them humming. The
Yeah,
defense
I
wasn't
rock
never the
with you on
Jets'
that.
problem. So I was thinking maybe that Jets D-line coach because I seen what he did with the Jets D-line. But see, then
So
that's why you need somebody like Steve Wilkes, who I don't know, man. There's so many ways you could look at this defensive coordinator thing.
and here's the thing that I look at, man. When you really look at how everything is going at this point, I really, as I said before, I'm looking to get me a veteran linebacker coach in here too, because I need my linebacking core to be right. Our linebacking core has been up and down like a roller coaster. That's pretty much what it's been, up and down. 1 week they play good, they disappear for 2 weeks. 2 weeks they play good, then this happens. Here's another guy we might need to cut bait with, Troy Anderson. Troy Anderson is the guy we got to cut bait with.
Injury settlement.
He spent more time in Piedmont Hospital and pretty much eating Waffle House like John or whatnot, with the Waffle House part, not the hospital, than anything.
Injury settlement. Go ahead and write that off.
Or if you don't use him as a linebacker, guess what? Till the end of his contract, put him as an edge rusher. Let him use his speed and go get the quarterback.
Put him on special teams as a gunner.
Why not? Why not use him? He might not be a linebacker. I've been saying that the man could probably be a better edge rusher because he doesn't have to think. I think he has the tools to be a good player here. If you're not gonna cut bait with him, drop him down from that linebacker spot and let him be an edge.
Trade Tyler and put him at running back.
Well, he did play offense. Wait a minute, he did play running back in college. He played everywhere, and he averaged 5.6 yards a carry in college. So why not? Hey, John, you say you want that fullback, right?
Oh yeah,
Mike,
I got to have and see. I'm looking at Baltimore. They got a 300-pound fullback back there, along with Derrick Henry. Man, shoot, that ought to be illegal. That ought to be damn illegal, man.
You go back to them
about at least 600 pounds.
Jamal Lewis days right there.
But see, you talking about 600 pounds coming at you full speed.
But John,
in the backfield.
If you have John, just think about this though. If you have Troy, now everybody keeps forgetting that Troy did play running back in college as well as quarterback as well. He was pretty much a football player. Take him away from that linebacker spot. If you trade Tyler Algier, if y'all decide to get rid of him at the end of the year, which I hope don't happen, but if they do, I'm gonna be depressed if you do that. But guess what? You take Troy Anderson and you put him in that backfield because guess what? He can run the football. The man is an athlete. The man played running back. That's one position he was good at in college. And people made business decisions when they had to hit him when he was coming downhill. So, and he's a hell of a blocker. So my thing is, John, there you go. There go your fullback right there.
Now, something I want to ask the panel too, and just to get your thoughts on it. With the way that the running back lifespan is, does Bijan get an extension?
Yes. If Bijan go over 1,300 yards rushing next year, yes.
Now, and the reason why I'm saying, okay, if the usage rate, because Bijan carried the ball 300 something yards, 300 something times this year for the 1,200 yards he got. If you continue, because and Bijan has what, 2 more years on his contract starting next year, correct?
On
the rookie contract.
2 years plus
Yeah.
this
Two
year. Yeah.
more years left.
Okay, now with that type of usage and that type of wear and tear, and especially with not having a fullback in front of him to take some of that wear and tear off of him, does he get big money in an extension, or do they try to find another running back?
I think you need to just find another running back at this point. You got Chase McClellan in there, but my thing is I said it yesterday. Bijan Robinson is literally like his running style is like Gale Sayers, Barry Sanders, all these scat backs you talk about. But think about it, it's like a deer running through a minefield. I'm knocking on wood because I don't want him to get hurt, but just being honest with the way he runs, he doesn't have to get hit to get hurt. The way that all the weight that he has and the way he shifts so quick,
putting on like weight on his knees.
you gotta look at the strain that he's putting on his knees, his hamstrings, and also his Achilles. Because the type of runner that Bijan is, he's very violent when he cuts. And you have to be in such great physical shape to be able to run like that. But again, that is a dangerous running style. And he's not a small guy.
You know that's why Todd Gurley didn't last long, because he didn't have
exactly.
No
mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't and think about it. Now that if you look at Philly keep a fullback in the backfield to keep Saquon clean. Outside of that, they also put him in positions where he's not running into a lot of traffic all the time. They put him in positions to where they're running more stretch plays. He's allowing.
And see, when Bijan finishes runs, he's trying to drag 4-5 people. Okay, and just won't. Okay, now 1 or 2 people, fine. You can't make it through that. Just go ahead and let it go. But that's why I was wondering that, because see, thing is that after 4 years, the average life of an NFL running back is 4 to 5 years. Okay, these one back offenses that they like to run them out of, say for instance, the Falcons say they going heavy on the line, or going heavy, or bringing a heavy formation out. All the heaviness is straight across the line. They don't put anybody back in the backfield. That's the thing that kills me. If you want to go heavy, now we saw our first full house backfield when Drew Dalman almost stopped Bijan from having children. And you got to watch that and see, that's another spot. That doggone Drew Dalman, man, he worse than Phil Negro pitching for the Braves with that knuckleball. Ain't no telling which way that damn ball coming out between.
Hey, John, but here's the crazy part. Now, everybody talks. Now, what's going on? What's going on, Jada? And Jada was saying, yeah, you practice those moves, but here's the thing: you can practice all day, but you can't practice and prepare for something that's gonna happen, because you might tweak a certain way, and you might end up just boom. They might go somewhere. Hey, Red, turn your TV down, man. I know that's you.
Red.
I know that's Red. Hey, Red, turn your TV down, man. Yeah. That's Red. I knew it was Red.
Yeah,
Red,
but
Red didn't even look up. So
there is such a thing as those non-contact injuries, and
that's what I'm getting at. Those non-contact body is not designed to move in certain directions at certain speeds like that. It's just not. Because to think about it, and John, you love cars. It's just like a car that is built for speed. If it gets to a certain speed, you can't turn it a certain way and hope to turn it back that quick, because guess what? You could tear up an axle. You could possibly flip the car. You could blow out a tire. It's so many things that you can do with some of those cars. So all I'm saying is, at this point, the human body is not built to be durable like that. It's not
doing stuff like that, because
not for 15 to 20 years either.
Yeah. Oh, and I got in an argument with a man. I got in an argument with a man as far as cars are concerned, talking about, those town cars and Mark V's they couldn't handle. Like I said, that ain't what they for.
Thank you.
You don't get in no Lincoln trying to doggone do the Nürburgring or Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's designed for Interstate 75 to float.
Did you hear
you want
what?
them type of cars? You go get something.
Do y'all be watching Michael Turner and Obi Mahaley
Yeah,
podcast?
I do. Yeah,
did you hear when Michael Turner said that he wouldn't have lasted that long if he didn't have Obi Mahaley in front of him?
Obi Mahaley was just like a offensive lineman in the backfield. I mean, he paved the way.
Hey, John, I'm gonna go back. John, I'm gonna give you another duo that you watched in the 90s, and we had to play against them in the playoffs before. Go back to Daryl Johnston and Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith don't last that long without Moose in front of him. It's a reason they called him Moose.
Yeah.
And then go back, and then I'm gonna even go back to my idol, my hero, Mr. Walter Payton. Walter Payton doesn't have a second part of his career without Matt Suhey. And then at the beginning of his career, because he was the only offense they had, you had Roland Harper protecting him before he blew out his knee, and Matt Suhey got drafted. So again, Walter only missed one game in his career and played 13 years. You don't see longevity at the running back spot like that anymore. 13 years.
Hey, and if you really want to be honest about it, we don't go to the Super Bowl without Patrick DeMarco.
I was just about to say that.
Some games for us.
Yeah.
Remember he caught that wheel route in the NFC Championship game that set up that first touchdown. No, it was the second touchdown in that NFC Championship game against the Packers that day.
No,
just like Kyle Algier don't get that 1,000 yard without Kyle Smith.
Kyle Shanahan used to scheme him open so much that they'll forget about him, and he'll be right there in the end zone every time in the corner on them corner routes and them fade routes.
Yeah, well, because that West Coast offense was designed for everybody that was eligible to catch the ball, for them to be able to catch the ball. Yeah, I mean, whether it was somebody coming out of the backfield or a blocking back that you ignored or forgot about, just like y'all saying. I mean, they would always scheme some type of way for them to be open in the passing game. And if I'm not mistaken, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, every person who held the yardage title as a running back had a fullback in front of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Everybody that has.
All of them.
It's only a few people who did it without one. Jim Brown was a fullback / running back. So he didn't really have nobody in that backfield with him.
Question for the panel.
That's what
O.J. Simpson
said about his fullback. They on podcast together.
I'm gonna give you this. God rest his soul. Everybody remembers OJ for what happened, but go back to his playing days. OJ doesn't get 2,000 yards in a season if it isn't for Braxton in the front of him, number 34, and the electric company.
Question for the panel.
OJ was nasty. People forget how nasty Juice was before he blew out his knee.
Would y'all want Keith Smith back at fullback, or would you want the production of Ray McCloud?
Honestly, I'd rather get Keith Smith back at that fullback position.
Me too.
Just to take a lot of that pressure off of Bijan. And we also know Keith Smith can catch coming out of the backfield too, so he could be a weapon.
Hey, and then think about it. If you keep Algier and you got Keith Smith leading the way for Algier, remember when Algier was getting all them yards, he had Keith Smith.
Yep.
So that's why I keep saying that I love our OC, but I don't really like them because they don't understand that they didn't build this offensive line. This offensive line was built to run first. So when you took that fullback away, you sort of hindered your offensive line from holding up too, because that was your chip. Remember, he was Arthur Smith chip blocker too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, man, that fullback, man. I've been screaming when they came here. I was screaming for a fullback then, because our running game, even though the offensive line was as good as it was, our running game, no matter who it was we had, whether it was Cordarrelle Patterson, whether it was Algier, whether it was a man that got hurt, that really showed Algier how to run.
Yeah, he
That-
did. He did.
He
I can't think
showed
of his
Algier
name.
how to
Was
run.
it Washington?
No,
No,
that was Duke Hunt. That was Duke Huntley, who
Duke
tore
Huntley,
his
yeah.
Achilles.
Duke Huntley, because
Huntley
you
was
remember,
a monster.
because you remember there was one series where they didn't do nothing but run Huntley, and went from one end of the field to a touchdown. They didn't do nothing but run it. And
Like
the
8 down
Falcons,
runs in a row.
yeah, the Falcons gained a reputation for the running game with Arthur Smith with that fullback back there. They kept the fullback on the roster, not no converted tight end. You know, they put a real fullback back there, a road grader. You know, so I mean,
hey, because remember that block that Tyler Algier missed, and remember, John, you said if we'd have had a fullback, he'd have knew to pick up that block. I think it was a Minnesota game or something when someone didn't pick up a block.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you play that position, that's instinctual. It's automatic.
Hey, John, hold up. We got, we're gonna have to tone it down. Pharaoh that slid up in here now.
Oh,
Pharaoh about to start trouble, y'all. Y'all better be careful. Pharaoh that slid in here. Let me start clowning. What's going on, Pharaoh? Hey, y'all check out those boys at We Talk Hawks TV. Man, they do a hell of a job, man. That's my man Pharaoh right there. That's my light-skinned country cousin. And that's an inside joke when I say the light-skinned thing, because we got a little thing going or whatever. But that's my partner right there. Hey, Pharaoh, if you want to tap in, my guy, go ahead and hit that button or whatnot. We enjoyed the banter and the debate between Foot and Marion yesterday. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah. Well, I know I'm gonna get my invite, but I'm demanding more money.
How y'all feel about this being the official first season in a while where the GM and the head coach only answer to the owner? They only answer
Wait a
to
minute.
Mr.
You
Blank.
actually believe? Wait a minute. You actually believe that?
Yes.
I need more evidence. I need more evidence.
I need evidence because Rich McKay,
I need more evidence.
I said behind closed doors, Rich McKay has been doing his thing behind closed doors for a minute, man. So I can't trust it.
I get it. And I understand where everybody comes from, but for me, it just feels different than prior years. And not just because we got a black head coach and a black GM, none of that. It's just that the fact that when they had that last presser, Arthur Blank said himself that the GM and the head coach is going to be reporting directly to him. It's not going to be no middle ground. And then the way Raheem and Terry consistently say that they are going to work together, and they have been working together on everything.
So here's the question I got for you. Do you feel that in the pit of your gut or whatever? That's a gut feeling you got with this situation?
I'm
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I'm asking because guess what? If he got a hunch like that and that's a gut feeling, as old people say, you always go with that gut feeling. Do you feel like that's a gut feeling?
I don't think Rich McKay got a lot to do with this right now. I just the way they moving, I don't think they're answering to him. Do I think he still has an imprint? Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're answering to Rich McKay
no more.
I just feel like Rich McKay don't need to be with the Falcons what they ever doing. Just stay out the way. Just you go to the soccer team and don't come to the Falcons because
that's a business move. Rich McKay is a business move.
But he don't. But I'm saying I understand that he don't have no control with the Falcons decisions, but he still hanging around with Arthur Blank, buddy, and stuff. Because I seen that picture when they barely beat the Las Vegas Raiders. He was in the picture with Terry Fontenot when they was leaving. So Rich McKay's still around.
He gonna be there.
Well, we all said we want him gone, but I want you to understand. This. You do understand what Rich McKay does too outside of the Falcons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arthur Blank is not gonna sit there and let that man go elsewhere because he's also a part of the commission.
And he's next in line. That's why I keep telling people.
He next in line. He's a part of the competition committee. That means he's a top dog, and he possibly could be the next NFL commissioner once Roger Goodell goes away. Arthur Blank ain't letting that out of his back.
depending on how this regime do, Rich McKay gonna be there to help his son run this team.
Exactly.
I don't want no McKay. I'm sorry, because McKay
Now,
he
okay,
causes
now this
some stupid hires. I don't want Rich McKay. He need to go to
He
a
ain't going
soccer
nowhere,
team
Well,
bro.
instead.
here's the thing. He ain't going nowhere. So you gonna be coming on here complaining and whining every week. He ain't
well,
going nowhere.
see
You
now
gotta
something
accept
about
that. He ain't going nowhere.
now
Cause
Unless
he
he
that's
also handle
wait a minute. The
business
only way he goes
operations.
somewhere is if he do something so egregious that Arthur Blank gotta get rid of that man. That's the only way that'll happen.
Yeah,
But
and
It
they said
has
it,
to
but
be that egregious for him to get fired. But Arthur ain't letting that
It has to
man
be
go
so
nowhere.
personal.
man, if he let go of Rich McKay, that's like letting go of your CPA that's been doing your taxes for the last 20 years. He ain't going nowhere.
I've
Like
always
I want him to
asked.
be gone, but I understand the business side of why Arthur's doing it.
Now I've always asked, way before the internet came, and us being able to chat here. What really is Rich McKay doing? And I would never get an answer. He was official hot dog musterer or ketchup squirter or whatever it is for Arthur Blank, because he was. You didn't know where Arthur ended and Rich McKay began. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
just always there in the way. Now, as far as him being next in line to go to to become commissioner or whatever, he didn't keep us out of trouble when we were pumping artificial sound in the Georgia Dome. He didn't keep us out of trouble last year when these people didn't report Bijan's injury like they were supposed to. So, and the credit that he gets for Atlanta United, if you're in the chief spot, the person that's in charge, you get that credit without having done anything yourself personally. Your staff took care of this. Your staff did that. Okay, so you get the shine.
Exactly.
You get the shine just by occupying the office. Okay. As far as the Falcons are concerned, Rich McKay, as you guys have said, might have been the worst trouble that the Atlanta Falcons had, because he maintained the Falcon filter. The Falcon filter being people that have to be this particular certain way, and you don't hire or you don't go and draft certain people because of quote unquote questionable backgrounds, or this particular person didn't file his taxes on time, so no, we don't want him. But what you're seeing and what you've seen in the NFL, and I've got to be real. You got to be real and got to be serious. The people that you want on your offensive and defensive lines,
Keep it real,
you
John.
want borderline criminals on your offensive and defensive line. You want miscreants. It's just like the people. I don't know if y'all remember this movie Blazing Saddles, where
Yes, I
Harvey
do.
Korman and them was sitting down there and interviewing folk to go raid Rock Ridge. Well, what did you do? That Joker. I want murderers, thugs, mugs, lugs, clugs. All of your worst type of folk.
Hey, but you heard what Dion said about his D line in Colorado. He said, I need him coming up from a hard life.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And see,
That's
that's the
what we're
type
talking
of
about,
mentality. That's the type of mentality you got to have in the trenches. Because man, the Raiders will tell you what the hell used to go on in the Raiders, Steelers, Oilers, those
Hey, John,
offensive and defensive
John,
line,
I
man.
got one for you.
Woo.
So, John, remember this. Remember we had Lincoln Kennedy on the show, but I grew up, like I said, if I probably wouldn't have been a Falcons fan, I'd either been a Raiders or Bears fan. But thank God that God gave me that red and black. But knowing what I know, knowing some of the old Raiders and My older cousin used to play for the Steelers. He got 4 rings from them or whatnot back in the day. And if you look at it or whatnot, he talked about it. So when you look at that old Raiders team, there's a book called Madden's Badasses. So in that book, they talked about how the Raiders were built. And they talked about what happened behind closed doors. John Madden didn't have to go to nobody but Al Davis to get what he wanted. So when they drafted players, they drafted guys to fit what they wanted to. Pretty much, they took guys' skill sets and they taught them how to be football players in the system that they had. They taught them that. They didn't just draft guys because of the system. No, they took guys because they could play and could make a difference. And they didn't care where they came from. And as Al Davis said it didn't bother me. Hell, Lester Hayes was an All-American safety. He got moved to corner by John Madden and should be in the Hall of Fame right now. Think about it. 17 picks in the season, 14 of them on record, 3 of them got called back. You look at the fact that they bent every rule, and that's the reason why the competition committee is very strong because of them and many other teams. But they were the bad boys because everybody hated Al Davis. That team was built in the image of Blackbeard the Pirate. It was built in the and defense. Might makes right. That was their motto. Might makes right, and the other motto that was a team mantra: cheating is encouraged. That was rule number 1. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. Those were the rules. They had no rules. They just knew show up, play your hardest, be on time. Hey, you can do whatever you wanted to do. And if you notice, they got 3 championships out of it. They had multiple division titles out of that. They owned the 70s and the 80s and the 60s. They owned 3 decades. And then some of the 90s they owned till they fell off. And then went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, they played in the Super Bowl in more than 5 decades of their franchise. Not many teams can say that. The Patriots is another team who can say it. The Chiefs can say it now. But, I mean, how many blueprints do you need to see for excellence? That's my question.
Okay.
And see,
so when saying that, but my bad, John, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I've been talking. Go ahead, man.
So when saying that, knowing that the Falcon filter is really like a branch of the Patriot way, we can say, since now we have Raheem and Terry calling the shots, do they loosen up the Falcon filter and allow them to draft who they want to draft?
They better.
They better at this point.
They better.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they better talk.
The direction of the franchise are returning the page of, because think about it. This year, this last off season, the media did not know one thing that we was doing. Prior years, they can tell you exactly who we gonna draft, who we going after, who we gonna sign, this, that, and the third. This past off season, it was different. They didn't know what we was gonna do. It was a shell shock even past the draft. They didn't think we was gonna get Kirk Cousins. They didn't think we was gonna go get Michael Penix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff was off of the radar. But to your point, they better stay off the doggone radar. Okay. And if you remember, now we still hold the record for the least amount of points scored in a 14-game season. Now that record can't be broken. I mean, the Grits Blitz, the Atlanta Falcons Grits Blitz. I don't know whether it was called that then. Might have come.
No, it was called the Grits Blitz defense with the late 70s.
Yep.
And Dewey McClain
now
was leading. Yeah.
Now, thing is, we hold the record. And Glanville, that's why I love Glanville. Because see, he was the first coach that just sent everybody, just overwhelmed everybody. That game tackling that you see now that wasn't popular a long time ago. Oh, we did that way back in the 70s. All right.
But John, you know who took it to another level though. And we had one of the guests. Remember, we had the original Mr. 46 defense on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We had Mr. Doug Plank on the show. And I don't know if you remember him saying this. Doug Plank said it up front. He said, Buddy Ryan, we came up to Atlanta, and he said, we did, like, you know how I go, preseason games, they do a scrimmage with a team before they play against them. and they had those scripted plays.
Mm-hmm.
He said Jerry Glanville set up the Atlanta Falcons defense to where they were able to consistently bring waves of players. And he said, I had never seen Walter Payton get hit that many times in the backfield, because Walter was the guy that you didn't just bring down. You couldn't bring him down with an arm tackle. Dewey McClain said it was like tackling a Jeep. That was what he described tackling Walter like. And he said you couldn't hit him one-on-one because he was so strong. But when Jerry Glanville figured out the way that we can get this guy, boom, consistent hitting. He hits one guy, somebody already on top of him before he could get started again. And Buddy Ryan saw that. Buddy Ryan adopted that. And that is how you get that 46 defense. They went down on linebackers, so Buddy was bringing everybody. That is how the 46 was born. But it was started in Atlanta with Jerry Glanville. So Jerry doesn't get enough credit for it. But the Bears get all the credit for it because they won the championship. Now, if the Falcons would have won the championship, that'd be a different story.
Yeah, and that's the same with basketball, all that type of stuff. Innovations come, but they don't get recognized a lot of times until you had that big strap of gold around your waist and that ring and that banner hanging in your facility. So hey, that's just the way it is. You gotta win. You gotta win.
Definitely gotta win. Definitely.
So in saying that, what do we do moving forward?
I'll say this.
We're gonna win.
I think moving forward, the first thing we need to do is address the the defensive line coach. You need to figure out who you want. And I was gonna say there's a guy by the name of I just slipped my tongue. His name's Tim Tahusa, I think how you pronounce his name, or Tamusa. I might have mispronunciated his name, and his name is Jim Tomsula. Excuse me. It's Jim
I thought that's what you were trying to say. I
was messing up his name. So Jim Tomsula. I would like for him to come here as our defensive line coach. The man has had some great defensive lines during his time as being a head coach. I'm sorry, being a defensive line coach. I think it would be, you know what I mean? I think it would be nasty. And I'm going to give you this here. If you get him, linebacker, and we were talking about our linebacker depth. Here's the other thing. I say go get Jahad Campbell out of Alabama if you can. That is a guy you go get at that linebacker spot. The man can play. Go from sideline to sideline. This is if you can't get a Michael Williams. This is if you can't get a Jalen Walker or a Carter or Abdul Carter. That is a guy that you can look at, as well as number 11 that plays at University of Texas as well. I'll have those names a little later. And it's just so many cats that this defense, this draft is defensive heavy. You can't go wrong either way. You know what I mean? And it's just like it's like Christmas early. You know what you need, go make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey man,
I gotta agree.
If you got a chance to shop in Walmart and Target, shop there. Don't go to Big Lots in Party City. Don't go to Great Savings. Don't go to Dollar General. Okay, shop where you can get something that's gonna last you. Shop and get something of substance that I mean, shop and get something of substance. Because see, trying to build a team on the cheap and trying to build a team with all nice guys, trying to build a team with choir boys. Look, I want somebody that's been chained up in the yard and you ain't been feeding them but collard greens and gunpowder for the last 5 years. That's what I want on my offensive defensive line. When you talk to him, I don't even want to hear no English out of his mouth. All I want to hear is that's it. You all right? All right. And then you throw his food on the ground and back out the way. You don't turn your back on it. That's what I want on my offensive and defensive line. That's what I want. I want that to rub off on everybody else. Okay? I'm tired of being nice. I'm tired of we have a situation where we like to help people up off the ground. After they done, like, man, that used to burn me up in the 80s. Jerry Rice might catch a dog on 90-yard touchdown, and if a Falcon was in the end zone, we'd help him up. Man, y'all got to be damn kidding. What you helping that man up for? That man just burnt you.
In there, John. Don't help nobody up.
No, don't be helping nobody up. No. I mean, come on, man. They ain't helping you up. Them and the very next play, Joker will put his hand in your chest trying to get up.
Yeah.
And nobody don't say nothing.
I always been like that. I don't mind shaking your hand.
John, I'm with you 100%, big dog.
At the end of the game, but they ain't helping your ass up.
No, hey, if we feel like it at the end of the game, I might shake your hand. We might dap up and all that type of stuff. But man,
well, let's go ahead and ready to wrap this thing up. We've been on for almost 2 hours.
We ain't doing that. Keep it mean, John. Don't let these guys soften you up. Keep it mean.
We get ready to wrap this thing up or whatnot. We've been on for almost 2 hours, fellas. If y'all trying to come on, I apologize, but we got to wrap this thing up. We've been on for an hour, 45 minutes. We weren't even supposed to be on this long.
I know.
But it just happened to be the conversation.
I done worked out, came home.
Hey, Kool-Aid, you got two. Kool-Aid, hold up. You got 2 minutes because you hadn't been on, and I'm going to give you that grace period because Kool-Aid always showing love. Will, we saw you coming in, big dog, but you was on for a minute. We got to let Kool-Aid slide, and he going to take us out, and then I'm gonna wrap this thing up. So, Kool-Aid, what do you have?
Hey, this is what we got. You said what we should do. Offense is fine. Trash the whole defense. Trash the defensive line. Trash the linebackers. In order for you to build, and I'm gonna say what John just said. You got to go get those guys that don't help nobody up anymore. Bogey kills me with that. He do it all the time. He always help the opposition up. So we got to rebuild this whole line, the whole defense. That's what we got to build. And if you got some real ownership with the cojones, he would really fire the whole. He would fire the ownership. I mean, not the ownership. He would fire his coaches, the head coach. If he had cojones right now, he would fire the coaching staff, bring in a new coaching staff that's a real winner, and let that coaching staff start to rebuild that defense and put in his whole new system. If the ownership had cojones, but as of for right now, with the ownership, with the coaching staff that we got now that we're gonna have to ride with, the best thing I can say Raheem will have to do, fire the defensive coordinator. Go get the best defensive coordinator that you can get with him. You can't do the whole thing. You have to do everything one by one. Get that best defensive coordinator that you can get. Bring that defensive coordinator, start restructuring that defensive line, and start and restructure the linebackers behind that defensive line. And then slowly start replacing those corners and those safeties. I would replace my safety with large, tall safeties. I would not go with my strong safety as small safeties. What his name got to go? The little what his name?
You talking about Justin Simmons?
Not Justin.
Richie Grant.
You talking about Richie Grant?
Richie Grant and the small corner. What his name? Who got
That's
burnt
Clark Phillips III. They just drafted him last year. Yeah, he was a rookie last year. So they can't just get rid of him just yet.
I know, but I'm just saying, what's the other one? Aardman. Hey, Alford. Yeah, Alford. You got to replace him, man. He got to be first. He got to be replaced, bro. Alford got to be replaced with a bigger guy, a bigger, stronger guy.
I'll give you this, Kool-Aid. I think when we look at it, this is a defensive-laden draft. There should be, and I said it earlier. Kenny Gallup out of Howard University, a little around 6 feet tall. a little. He's around close to 200. I think he's 195-ish, close to 200, about a biscuit away. And the boy is a smart player, high IQ. You can get him for little to nothing because think about it, we're limited with picks right now. Now, if Terry finagles some things and gets picks, I'm cool with that. But I've already said I'm looking at the undrafted free agent side, Kool-Aid. After we get them drafts, that's where I'm focusing at. I'll focus on the mid rounds because that's where we get our hits. But you've gotta hit on those undrafted free agents since we are limited with cash right now. You have to. And this is where the scouting department comes in heavy. This is how you earn your check. This is how you can become a lead dog if you can go get some of these animals that's out here, or as you would like to say, mutants, or if John would like to say in Blazing Saddles, hooks, crooks, vandals, and everything else you could think of. You got to do it in the undrafted free agency market this year because you're limited in what you can draft this year. And the only thing I'm trying to draft, just to be honest, I need linemen this year. I need D linemen that's going to get it done. And I need offensive linemen. This is what I'm drafting. If I got a limited draft, let's get the linemen. Let's address the trenches. And then you start getting more skilled players. And then you can get your safeties and different players and look, guys that get left out that you can find. But I got to address my edge rusher. I got to address my blind side for my quarterback. I got to address my center position. That is something we're not talking about. Dolman got to go. He got to go. I'm sorry if I'm animated today, but it's just, if you feel the way that I feel about this team and like these fellas on here, you will understand where that passion comes in at. I love the fact that we got an athletic quarterback that made Dolman, when he snapped the ball and snaps that should have been on the ground, he literally took chicken, you know what, and turned it into a chicken salad sandwich with bad snaps and made something happen. I don't want my quarterback to have to worry about a bad snap. I need him to be laser focused on his reads, being able to get out of the pocket when he needs to, being able to be safe. I need a center that's going to give him the ball. It's a few of them that's out here that I'm looking at. And if I get me a center, I'm going to tell you just where I'm going to go. I want anything that's out of Iowa or Iowa State because we know, or Wisconsin, because we know not only are they going to snap the ball correctly, they're great in run blocking and they're phenomenal in pass blocking. And that's something that we need help with.
As long as they name not Peter Cons.
Yeah, and people don't know. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Me? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people don't know strength in championship is in the trenches. It's in the line, it's in the defensive line and the offensive line. That is strength. That is championship football right there. When you build that, and if you look at every team that have won a championship, outside just some of the skilled players, their strength was within a line, within the line.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them the ones that you get sacked from within the middle of the line and not just the defensive line, and when you start getting a lineman that in there that you can get a sack off your nose guy or that middle lineman, you know you got a heck of a defensive line.
And all I can say is at this point, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Until we can get the trenches fixed, we won't win anything else. We won't win anything else. And I preach it all the time. I preach it all the time. Everybody want to talk about this and that, but I need people to start looking at the fact that if you can't control the line of scrimmage, whether you're on offense or on defense, you're not going to win no ball games. You're not going to win no ball games. So until we get that fixed and that situated, we're going to continue to be having these powwows and these meetings to where we're happy for people getting fired. But guess what? Here's the thing. Some of these coaches can't reach some of these players, but here's the thing. It starts with drafting the right players and bringing them here, because you're never going to have a solid coach here if you don't give him the right pieces.
That's right. And I'm going to say this one last thing. Now, there are some people that don't like to see people get fired. Oh, no, I hate for folk to lose their job, especially on the day off. You got fired on your day off. Sorry, son. If you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, you wouldn't be in this predicament. So if it's a choice whether my team is going to be successful and I fire you, guess what? You 3 days gone before the announcement come out on paper. You out of here. Man, look, I told y'all the flying foot of fate is always it's always available to plant an inappropriate hind end when you're not doing your job. Sorry, Jimmy. Bye.
And see, let me tell you something about coaching, like what you just said too, BirdCage.
Mm-hmm.
Budenholzer got the 61 wins because he came into the Hawks. He said, "Everybody get out the way. I'm the coach and the manager." And the organization had the mindset to sit back and say, "Okay, Budenholzer, I'm gonna allow you to do this." Even after some of the other managers that they had. Even when your boy went down when he was being racist, who was one of the best scouting guys to get guys to play. But Budenholzer came in there and he put that he got his players that he wanted, and he got a 61 win team out of that. The problem was when they decided to take that power away from Budenholzer and not to control that and let him continue to stay in that power of being coach and manager. Sometimes after you go so far in an organization, when you win a championship, sometimes you don't have the money to control that strength of those players because they become so expensive. And you have to reset. And when the organization won't let a coach reset after they won something, then that's when they sometimes mess up too, when the coach is that smart. And when Budenholzer said he didn't want to rebuild, he wanted to restructure, he said, "I'm going to leave." And that's when, they would say, "Okay, let's do it like this. We are not rebuilding. We are resetting. You are going to be the coach, but we are going to lose so we can go get Trae Young." But guess what? We're going to still resign Harden. We're going to be still resign Harper. And we're going to allow you to go get Trae Young. And then we're going to let you go get a team. And then guess what he did? But he said, "No, we want to totally just get rid of everybody. We're not restructuring." And Budenholzer said, "I'm not doing a complete thing." But you bought him over in Dallas, and I heard the coach said, "We did everything to." I know we and John argue about this, but he said, "We did everything to tank to get Luka, to get in that third spot. We did everything to tank." But when he did that, guess what? He still had his same coach that he had just won a championship with your boy. He still had a lot of those players, but he still did the procedure of being smart to go get Luka without a complete rebuild. And when he did that, they came back, they got Luka, and then last year they tanked, even after they got Kyrie Irving and Luka on the same team. They used the same thing. They didn't even make the playoffs. And they did it again. Went and got that young boy drafted. And they end up in the championship right after the tank. And so sometimes, man, when the organization never rebuild, they always restructure. And that's sometimes Once you get that coach with that power, you got to let him stay there. You got to let him go through those procedures to get to those championships. And that's why San Antonio held on to his boy so long, because he knew exactly how to do it. He never rebuilt. He always restructured, even if they tanked.
But Kool-Aid, here's the thing, though, because we got to put this thing back to football, and I know you'll get carried away with b-ball, but here's the thing. Our head coach was making ranked amateur mistakes that shouldn't have been made. Shouldn't have been made. Pocketing timeouts when he didn't need to, doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. The difference between him and Popovich, Pop already knew how to coach. Pop understood that it's certain things that you just don't do. And this is his second. I'm gonna take it back to you and John Young days when y'all was out there, when y'all had the Jerry curls or the
Let me say
afros.
this right quick. Maybe you understood what I was saying, though. Go ahead.
No, I'm getting back to it. Because here's the thing. You in your second time around. Just like Shalimar used to say. He in his second time around right now. So guess what? With your second time around, you've got to have a little bit more up here with the experience you've gone through, because we get that you were in a bad situation in Tampa. You were put in a bad spot. Still made the playoffs one time out of the few years he was there. I get it. But then you've literally been passed around from organization to organization like a blunt at a Rick James concert. It's just what it is. And now you got your ring when you with another coach's defense. You did what you were supposed to do. You got that defense to get to that next level. Because like you said, sometimes it takes for a different person to come in also, because you talked about this on your show, to get guys to go up here. It's a change of mindset. So can this man that is in charge right now get this team to that next level? Because if you can't get these guys to the next level, you pretty much have wasted all the moves that Terry's made, all the guys that have come through here, and you've wasted money and time. So if he can't get this thing situated now, Jimmy Lake is gone. You don't have no more excuses. Zach Robinson produced. Jerry Gray gave you a solid secondary. Your D-line coach and your defensive coordinator failed you this year. Now you're limited in what you're doing because we made a mistake in giving Kirk that money. The question is, can you fix this problem, take over a weak division at this point, and get us in the playoffs so we can have a chance to win some games? That's pretty much all I got. What you got, Kool-Aid?
I was trying to say that Raheem is not a Boomhole. Raheem is not a Popovich. The only ones you give power to is those people like that. You see what I'm saying? And it takes the owner and the management to know that coach that you can give that power to. And so what I'm saying, like if Coach Belichick would have came here, that's the kind of power they would have. When ownerships can't give that kind of power to those type of coaches, you're not going to win. That's why Pittsburgh only have so many coaches, because they got that eye test. They get that coach, and it ain't been not one coach out of the three coaches, right? Just three coaches. Am I right?
Yeah.
But with Pittsburgh, they ain't won a championship.
Okay.
And when they win the championship, they become loyal to them, of course. But the thing is, what I'm saying is that Raheem is not a Popovich. He is not Boonholzer. Boonholzer, when he left here, he went to Milwaukee and won a championship. Matter of fact, he saw the eye test of a mutant in Giannis.
But wait a minute.
Okay.
We gotta keep this football.
I'm keeping it football.
Okay,
I'm
so
just
look,
doing I'm trying to keep the football as a narrative, but I guess I should be talking about football coaches.
Because you mentioned Tomlin, but here's the thing.
Okay, so
Tomlin's never had a losing season. That is the difference. Tomlin has never been below 500. or whatnot at the end of the season. They're always in the playoffs. He's been
Okay.
there for over 15 years, and he's produced 2 Super Bowl appearances in those 15 years. You got
Right.
coaches like Hugh Jackson, who I'm not Hugh Jackson. What was the guy's name who was Marv Lewis at the Cincinnati Bengals, who was there for 15 years, went to the playoffs, never won. So at this point, we gotta look at it. We gotta look at it like, hey, there aren't many Mike Tomlins around. There aren't really coaches that are around like that. But Pittsburgh is an organization that is going to have the draft, that's going to draft players that you need. They have what they call real scouts. They have never changed their mom and pop philosophy when it comes to scouting players. So until we can get the players in here, regardless of what coach we bring in here, we can't get our scouting down and we can't get pretty much the groceries to make a 5-star meal, we're pretty much going to be eating sardines, beans and weenies, freaking Vienna sausages. I mean, it's filling when you got a poor man's budget. You know what I'm saying? And many people know about it, but until you can actually bring in guys that are going to, you bring in your pot roasters, that's your big defensive tackles, that's going to feed everybody because your linebackers and your secondary are going to eat because of these big boys. If you can't bring in the great groceries, you're never going to win. So
Okay, so I'm gonna go off of both of y'all perspectives, which y'all just said. So Ryan, I'm gonna start with you. I'm gonna start with your perspective first about the production and the evaluation of the players when it comes pertaining to the head coach, right?
Yep.
How many players had career years this year?
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
Defensively.
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say? Because you were going into the portal.
Oh, I had said how many players had career years this year under Raheem Morris?
So far, it's only been Bijan, it's been Drake London, and then you got to look at it. Whether people want to realize it or not, Kirk Cousins had that 500-yard game. Not many people can throw for 500 yards in a game. And Penix had 3 games to where he actually almost had 1,000 yards, 700 and some odd yards. I think it was 775, I think. And almost close to 1,000 within just 3 games.
Right, and then Caden Ellis, Jason Bates, AK,
Well,
AJ,
Bates had a career.
like,
Well, Bates
and
had a
then
career
going
year
off a
last year
Kool-Aid
under Nielsen,
perspective
dog.
about bringing in that head coach about this year, Richmond is gone. So the owner is giving the keys to the head coach to do what he needs to do to build his team.
But Texas boy, Bates was the best player on this team last year. He was, and that was under Arthur Smith that he was the best player on that team when we got him because he made a Pro Bowl. He already was a ball hawk doing what he was doing. He pretty much picked up to where he left off at. So I can't say that Raheem had a hand in that part. Zach Robinson, Raheem bringing him in, has had a hand in this offense getting to a point where they were scoring 30 points at one point in the season, which we weren't doing last year. And I got to give him his credit for bringing in the right coach. It's just the fact that Zach just has to get more comfortable with being a play caller as a first-time coach. So what's your
I agree. I agree. I agree. And then it just go back to what we were saying earlier. 2016 all over again. We need a center and pieces on defense.
Hey, hey, Historian, I want you to do something for me right now.
What you
And
got?
the only reason I would talking basketball coach, my mind wouldn't let me bring up football coaches right now.
Okay.
You know, one of my best coaches back in my day was the coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins.
Who, Jimmy Johnson?
Not Jimmy Johnson. I'm talking about the one that went undefeated.
Don Shula. Don Shula went he was with the Colts first, and then he went to the Dolphins. Yeah.
And he put together one of the best football teams ever. And him and you know the 3 coaches that were going at it. And the Cowboy coach, what the coach name of the Dallas Cowboys during that time?
Tom Landry.
Tom Landry. And you know who was the other coach that was going at it? It was a 3-way coach. Cause the Dallas was always Landry,
Chuck Noll from Pittsburgh. That was the other one.
Okay. Those were the 3 that controlled the NFL then. So if you go off and you start naming those coaches that have won a Super Bowl and look at how they came up and how they come from their pedigree.
Yep.
You'll see that those coaches, even going all the way back when football started, you'll see those guys reign. And that's why sometimes I say, when you look at organizations that have won, they basically win over and over again because the first thing they know to do is to go and get that coach. That coach, whether it be a pedigree coach, where it was raised up through that pedigree, or they go get that coach that was right there in that potential to win. It's just like you could see it, just like that offensive coordinator, just like the offensive coordinator with Georgia. And when he went to go play with the Rams, they saw that. I mean, it's impossible for you not to see an offensive coordinator that have took a football team 2 years undefeated. Now, then what I'm talking about, go get the coach with a resume. Regardless, if you're going to get a first-time coach, whether it be college or pro, and you go get a coach, and he's on a football team that has not won a national championship in a long, long time, and that guy was part of that team. He took a Bennett, and he went 2 years undefeated, 2 championships. That resume says a lot. So what your organization should do, say, oh, we got to go put some money at this guy.
And the only games he ever lost was in 2020, the Alabama and the Florida. And in 2021, the year they won that first one up under Bennett, they got hammered in that SEC championship game by Alabama. So you're right. He's only lost 3 games as the offensive coordinator at Georgia when he was there. So Todd Monken did his thing, and now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. They go to an AFC championship game in his first year, and, you know, he could have won that game, but it was a lot of bad stuff that happened in that game. But Monken has learned from those mistakes, and you pretty much see what's getting ready to happen, because Baltimore is getting ready to play Pittsburgh right now, and I think Baltimore is going to take Pittsburgh, if you want to be honest.
Yeah.
And you know what?
I like Mike Tomlin, but it's just something. Kool-Aid is something about Baltimore this year. They just different. You can see when Derrick Henry got there, that was all Lamar needed, and they got somebody to take the pressure off of him now. But man, we got to wrap this thing up.
Okay, yeah, I wish y'all had caught y'all earlier, man. But I was into some other things, you know.
Oh no, it's cool. Tell the people where they can find you at, John. And Text Boy, do you got a podcast?
No.
You need one. You got a lot.
Everybody tell me that, man. Everybody tell me that.
You got a lot of off the wall topics you like to come in with. So guess what? You might as well go ahead and get you one.
But everybody tell me that, y'all.
What'd you say, John?
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
So Kool-Aid, tell the people where they can find you at, my brother.
Hey, you can find me at ATL Kool-Aid Drinker on YouTube, and you can catch me coming up on We Talk Hawks TV. And now my man let me appear on BirdCage, and every now and then I would have came up on Eye Test last night. It was a little bit too late. I was about to fall asleep, but I put some text in. But hey, I'm gonna be hooking up with Eye Test a little bit every now and then. I'm gonna be working toward trying to make my thing live this year. You know, I'm trying to learn that. So I just won't be just doing YouTubing. So maybe one day I have my live thing come up here. I'll come up on my thing. So hey, that's it, man.
That's what's happening. John?
Yes, I am co-host of the Eye Test Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on your NBC stations. We will discuss football, basketball, life, and don't be scared to either come on my show, and don't be scared to launch your own. I've been doing this a long time prior to this coming up, you know, prior to, you know, podcasts coming up, but, you know, sports talk, love sports talk. Gentlemen, jump out there, see what you can see, do what you can do. Hey, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to stumble a little bit every now and then, but Things will hire themselves out as long as you are committed to improving on everything that you do, week by week, day by day, time after time. So, everybody is always invited to come in and play. We're the latest sports show on. We'll go to 4 a.m. Don't make us no never, man. I ain't got nothing to do. I'm retired. So, hey, thanks for having me on, Ryan.
Hey, man. K-Dub, you know how we gonna get it. You know I'm gonna see you on Thursday anyway.
Yeah, you
as
know
we
how we
always do.
Yeah,
so
we do.
As we say up in here, man, y'all stay safe out there in Atlanta. Prayers out to those folks in California right now. People are losing homes left and right. So y'all keep those folks in Cali. Our Falcon fans that's out there in California that's paying attention to us. Hey, prayers are out to you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try to work on some stuff or whatnot for trying to see if we can get some supplies out there, water, toiletries, just basic necessities that people need. We're gonna definitely try to work on that. And the folks in Atlanta, hey man, y'all fools stay out of the streets. Y'all crazy as hell. We sitting here looking at y'all fools on the ice. Understand this: black ice is not forgiving when you fall on it. Be careful out there, y'all. Have fun, but please, please, please be careful and don't get put in jail this weekend. Enjoy the snow. Got people out here fighting and stuff in the snow. Can't even stand up. Can't even stand up and they fight. Like, if it's anything, what we need to be doing, if it's anybody that we need to be fighting, we need to be fighting these bums that pretty much choked the season away. That's what we need to be fighting. I ain't talking about physically. We need to be protesting and saying some stuff to them. Make them feel a little uncomfortable. We done spent all this money on these season tickets and jerseys and these $2 nasty. I'm sorry, I ain't gonna say nasty, but these $2 greasy hot dogs that we eat at the stadium. Man, please. Let me catch somebody out there Flower Brand. I'm telling you.
And them PSL.
Man, let me go ahead and get up out of here. But guess what? Jimmy Lake and Jay Rogers, they got fired on their day off. Hey, y'all got enough money. Y'all to be employed again. So y'all do y'all thing. We appreciate y'all coming through. Folks out on X, folks on Facebook, YouTube. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all for coming through, man.
Everybody take it easy, man. And everybody enjoy y'all weekend, brothers.
All right, take care, man.
Y'all, hey, as we say up in here, you either get right or you get left. So we about to go ahead and get left. Peace.